My name is Steve, and I'm here with the one and the only Stephanie Milky, aka KetoMom. A lot of you think she eats keto, but guess what? She doesn't. She drinks her ketones,
And
aka
I eat low
her mom
carb.
fuel.
And I eat low carb.
And guess what? Today we are going to talk to you about chapter 2.2 of The Power to Change.
Hey, put that back up. I think we're backwards. I'm going to flip this around. That's irritating.
If you're checking out the podcast, just know that doesn't matter at all. But for those of you tuning in, that was probably backwards. Welcome to today. I'm here with Stephanie, and Stephanie's got some insightful information that I promise you, if you apply this, it is going to change your life.
Right. Well, we've been going through this book for a little over a week. The book is called The Power to Change. It talks about your identity. It's going to help you understand who you are, and then we'll dive into the things you need to do to hit those goals.
So good.
And so the chapter we are diving into is 2.2. If you're following along, it's trying versus training.
But I like to try.
Well, we're going to talk about that.
Feels good.
I mean, how often do you say, I'm trying, or hear other people say, I'm trying to eat healthy, I'm trying to quit smoking, I'm trying to go to the gym, I'm trying to be a better whatever. Oh, and guess what?
Welcome to our home. In our home, we have 4 dogs.
Hey, you have to go get them.
With a big dog that's outside.
When
the big dog goes off,
we have 4 daughters, 4 dogs, a mother-in-law that we are blessed to have live with us. And she has a dog, right?
That's still barking.
That is still barking.
Isn't that great? All right, so if you're brand new here.
Never a dull moment around here.
If you're brand new here, welcome. Just comment new down below. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to find out more about who you are. We'd love to find out more about your goals and your life. And how did you find this page? So thanks for tuning in. Now, Steffi is going to go through the difference between trying versus training.
And you can always go to ketomomsecrets.com for last book, for the books that we've done in the past and the other chapters. Here's what we want to do is help you with your mindset. We're going to give you some highlights from the book, share a little bit about what we love about the book, how we're implementing it into our lives. This chapter is called Trying versus Training. And it says people can have the same goals yet get vastly different results. And he shares a ton of stories about I highlight everything. So Steve thinks I really want to read the entire thing to you. You really should get the book. But for example, he says, no high school team says, hey, let's say, for example, you were just at wrestling, right?
Yep.
He was just at a big wrestling state tournament for Minnesota, the high school tournament. Every team at the beginning of the year had the same goals. Right?
And the same goal is
they all want to win.
Come in first place.
Right.
We want to be the champions.
They don't all achieve that. There's a difference between trying and there's a difference between training. And nobody actually ever says, I think we want to come in third place. Like it really in the beginning, he talks about how people don't ever say, hey, I want to end my life with high cholesterol. I want to become in third place. I want to have a terrible marriage. Nobody ever says that. He goes, most people have the same goals. There is a difference, though, in trying versus training. Anything you want to say? Well,
I was caught in awe of her beauty. I apologize.
And dogs that are running in and out. All right.
So how do you do this? You have to define your win. First off, you have to define what it is that you want to win.
Oh, yeah, he says that right there.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, keep going.
No, I'll just go back to the book. Defining the win is how you begin. So she has that underlined, and I think that's super important. I don't mean that sarcastically. I'm working on that. I'm working on not being so sarcastic. If you actually caught the episode 2 days ago, we ended up deleting it because my sarcasm was through the roof to a whole nother level.
I actually did a live yesterday talking about it.
So I had to apologize because of that. And I would never mock Craig Groeschel because honestly, I highly respect this man, but I do like how he does put those things into action. Like he gives you things that you can remember. So defining the win is how you begin. So like Stephanie said, no wrestling team that I was watching yesterday, none of them had the plan to come in third place.
Right.
But can I share?
You can share whatever you want. Yeah.
So yesterday, what happened was it was class 3A, kind of a big deal. It's the biggest school. It was St. Mitchell, I believe, and it was Hastings. And it was like slam dunk. It looked like it was game over. St. Mitchell was going to take the title. They were up by like 27 points or something. And all of a sudden there was a wrestling match. And I think it was like maybe the 180. I don't know anything about wrestling, but I learned a lot yesterday.
Well, one of the
I went up with a friend, and
Right.
he was like telling me the ins and outs of everything, how it all worked. But it was crazy because so they all had probably defined the win of that they wanted to be champion. But there's a big difference between training to be the champion and trying to be the champion. And let me tell you this, like your mental toughness really does matter.
Right.
In those moments of life where you have to choose A or choose B, when there seems to be a fork in the road, it really defines your character.
Mm-hmm.
And so what looked like it was, I mean, they'll probably make a movie of this someday. I mean, the place was going crazy. But I leaned over to my friend and I'm like, all right, so you're telling me that if my math is correct, this team can still win the championship if they get all pins. Like they move forward and they get all pins.
It's like the next 5 rounds are
the
pins.
Chances of that is like close to none, because especially when you get to the heavyweights, like these dudes just kind of blob into each other, like boom. And they don't really pin because they don't really move, which that's a whole nother conversation. But this was a different story. It happened. The Hastings team, the dude won, like sparked something. So he was like the catalyst, right? And then all of their training that went into the year of their mental toughness and their resiliency and their grit and their strength and their determination, boom, piled on. Guess what? Pin. Then there's like the crowd's going crazy and the energy's through the roof. And next thing you know, next round, boom, pin, boom, pin. And now it's a 5-point match, and it's down to the heavyweights, the 285 class.
It's big.
It is a huge deal. Like everybody, all eyes are on this AAA match. And this dude's come rolling in. Like one's fit, one's fat. I'm just going to say it. That's how it is. That's how I saw it. But there was momentum, there was cheering, there was like, it was an amped arena.
Mm-hmm.
This dude comes in and he throws the guy right on his side. Heavyweight, 280 some pound dude, pins the man. It was unbelievable. There was no trying in that moment. In that moment, it was strict training. And that is why Hastings, there's probably none. But if there are, and if you were there, you know what that was like.
They trained for the win.
They did.
I bet you both teams
and they
trained
showed
for
up.
the win, and they actually showed up in the last little bit.
I'll probably get some St. Mitchell guy being like, I can't believe you said that. But the reality is one team just overtrained. Like one team showed up ready to make it happen.
Or I bet you their mindset was different. I bet you at the end they said, we've talked about like where your mindset is, and Pastor Craig Groeschel says this. He goes, there's the same circumstance, there's the same environment, there's the same whatever in front of you, and there's 2 different people looking at it differently. One team thought we have this in the bag. The other team could have either thought we're going to lose because we're down 27 points, or what, we can still come back, and they did.
That is so great, because that team, honestly, maybe they started to coast,
right?
Because they're like, this is game over. Like we have to win one match out of the next 7. We've got this. And lo and behold, they shot.
It's good.
Now, at the end of the day, I don't know anything about either team. Like, I don't know if the other team was favored to win. And then I also realized this too, but some lightweights are better. Some heavyweight details don't matter.
Nope.
The difference is, I do believe this. There was a difference between a team that was trying and a team that was training.
All right. So I am going to read some of the underlying things here, because I think it's going to give you perspective of what trying versus training means that might resonate with you. So in the beginning, he says, if you've got goals, everybody has goals. We've all been desperate to change. So you've tried, and you've really tried. I hear that often when people send messages. Stephanie, I've tried to do this. I've tried all of the things. I've done all of the diets. Like, I've tried to lose the weight. I'm just making it, you're here on a KetoMom page, probably to lose weight, right? So he goes, here's the problem. Trying doesn't work. You've been trying for too long. Trying never achieves consistent results. We've seen this time and time again. You've tried, you've quit, you feel embarrassed, you've regrouped, you've tried again, you've got tired of trying. He goes, trying doesn't work, but training does. You guys, all it is a mindset, right? So something that our CEO has taught us for a long time, years ago, and I didn't even actually understand the phrase. Somebody in our business would say, I'm trying to build the business. I'm trying to do this. And he would go, no, You're not trying, you do it. You do it day in and day out. You just take the word try out of your vocabulary, and it never resonated more with me than it has recently. And we tell our kids this. They'll be like, I'm trying. And we'll say, no, we're not trying. We're actually going to do it. That's a part of the training. Like when you're thinking about losing weight and you say, I'm trying, it's easier. Maybe it's a mindset to let yourself off the hook when you think, I'm training day in and day out. If I'm training, that means that I am doing specific things every morning. I'm training to be the best version of myself in the future. And so I love that he said, well, he quoted Yoda. I actually didn't know this was a Yoda quote. Maybe that's dumb.
Yoda's amazing.
Do people watch Yoda? Is that Star Wars? I actually don't think I've ever seen one in my entire life. I guess that's where the quote came from. He goes,
You've never seen a Star Wars?
No, never. I've never seen it.
I didn't shut off Do Not Disturb.
All right. He says, you must unlearn what you have learned. Luke said this. All right. He goes, I will try. And Yoda says, no, try not. Do or do not. There is no try. And that's where I think our CEO probably got it, was we don't try, but we do. We take action.
All right. Dog.
Our dogs are going crazy.
Girls, can you help me with this one?
Hey, can you grab your dogs and put them outside?
For whatever reason, he thinks he can run into the camera.
Right.
So,
all right, so go.
Annie.
I'm gonna
Annie
keep going.
is a master dog trainer.
Yes. We are going to, if we're going to change, we are going to achieve our goals through training, not trying. To try, so here's how he said, here's the difference. If maybe you're going, okay, I still don't get it. He goes, to try is to attempt to do the right thing by exerting effort in that moment. To train is to commit to develop strategies and habits that equip you to do the right thing. We're equipping you to work through, to develop habits, to develop systems. He actually quotes the book Atomic Habits, which I think is an incredible book. He says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems, and you're going to train day in and day out to get to where you want to go. All right. Anything you want to say? I know you're really, our dogs are a little wild.
It's 9:37 here, and we needed to do this like an hour and a half ago. So I apologize to all of you because these dogs, mad chaos. Yes, here's the thing that I want to encourage you to think about today is when you hear yourself say, I'm trying, just take that thought captive, take those words captive, just start developing an awareness for that word trying, hearing people say it, or yourself say it.
I think the last thing I would say is this, and then I'll give you an example. He goes, here's one more definition of training that should be helpful. Training is doing today.
I love this. You should write this down.
Training is doing today what you can do today so that you can do tomorrow what you can't do today. I think oftentimes we've said this before, you have this big goal of you want to lose 50, 60, 70 pounds, whatever that number is for you. And we have this big goal out there and we're so focused on the future, and that's for your vision board. You want to see that, you want to have that goal out here, but you also have to focus on the day-to-day training to get there, right? Oftentimes if one day doesn't go the way that it's legitimately going, all right, it sounds so silly, but you're walking yourself, you're training yourself day in and day out to make the best decisions possible. You're training from the time you wake up in the morning. Do I hit the snooze? Do I get up? Do I go to the gym? Do I make an excuse? Do I pack my lunch or go out to eat and make the not best choice? Are you training and making the decisions every single day that will get you to where you want to be in the future? It's a mindset of thinking, I'm training to be the athlete. I'm training so that I can lose that 60 pounds. It's choices every single day that you make. I'm not trying. I'm doing the action. I'm packing the lunch. I'm going to the gym. I'm not yelling at my kids because that causes me to have crazy emotions, and therefore I choose the donut. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've got something that I'm currently applying in my life. So a mentor of ours, he's our think coach, but he basically said, as people age and they get in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and if they fall, it can actually be super detrimental to their health, where they could die just from falling and breaking a hip. I think it's like 80% of people who fall in their 80s and they break their hip, they end up dying. So he said, the best way to be able to not die from falling is to be able to catch yourself. And he said, in order to catch yourself, you have to be able to do push-ups. And he said, you should be able to do a minimum of 20 push-ups. So I'm curious, for you right now, if you were to drop down and do 20 push-ups, could you do it? Like good form, nice, great push-ups. I'm going to say most people can't. I should probably find the percentage of people who like can versus can't. It's probably some made up number anyways. But let's just say, for example, if you can't. So I got on the floor one day and I could knock out 20 sloppy, nasty push-ups, but to have like perfect form, I couldn't do it. And so all of a sudden in that moment, I was reminded of something that I downloaded years ago called the 100 push-up perfect push-up plan, something like that. That's a lot of P's. But I was like, ooh, 100 push-ups. That'd be an amazing thing. So in that moment, can I do 100? No. Is my goal to do 100? Yes. So in order to do today what I can do, I'm going to follow the plan. So I started, and I think it was pretty silly. You might laugh at it, but like week one, day one was five sets, and it was maybe 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, something like that. And you're like, that sounds easy. But if I would have fast forward,
easy for people.
If I would have fast forward to week 7, it's like 30, 28, 32, 42, ends on 50. That's a big difference, right? But it's a progression. So I want to encourage you that if you can switch your mindset from, like, even say this push-up example or analogy, like I'm trying to do push-ups. I'm actually training to do push-ups. I'm training to do push-ups so I can forge a body that honors God with my temple.
That's good.
So the who before the do, and then you come up with a system or a plan. For me, it was the 100 perfect push-up plan. I think the app is called 6 Weeks. I'd encourage you to go download it. It's free. But just see what you can do, and it builds a program based upon where you're at.
I love that. So you decided who you want to be, and then you have to start putting the systems in play and follow the plan. I actually think that's key. It's the day in and day out. So here is your exercise. It says using the defining wins from exercise 8. So if you already wrote out your defining wins, if you don't know what that is, go to ketomomsecrets.com, click on book club, go watch the other videos or get the book. Write down some ways that you have tried to change in the past but failed. So if you're playing full out, you're doing the exercises, write down some things that you've been wanting to achieve, right? Things that you've tried in the past but you failed. This is important to identify that what you've done so that you know what to work on. Our dogs are still in the house.
No, it's fine. They're barking outside. They're running inside.
All right.
Hey, this is great. This is just showing you real life. Welcome to the Milky Home.
It's usually wild. All right, take those defining wins, list some strategic habits that you could implement through training. Here's an example. He says, to forgive someone who hurt you, you can train by writing out the verses where Jesus taught on forgiveness, and 2, write out the offense that God and others have forgiven you for. I don't know what you're laughing about.
I can't help it. That's very serious. Out of all the places that the dog could walk, it decides to walk with its tail up and catch the camera, so it's constantly shaking. It's not a big deal.
And our children are supposed to be taking care of their dogs, but they're not.
You know what? We're all trying around here. This is the difference between someone who's trying and someone who's training.
Okay, lastly, how could giving up trying and focusing on training be freeing to you? Here's the principle. Trying doesn't work, training does. Trying is an attempt to do the right thing, but exerting effort in the moment. And training is a commitment to strategic habits you do before the moment that equips you to do the right thing in the moment. Here's what I'm going to tell you. I hope that you can listen. Here's why I like to do the Keto Mom Live. Sometimes it kind of is overwhelming coming on here because I want to be able to give you I wish I could just fix everybody's problems. Actually, that's the reason sometimes I don't want to do this, is because I wish I could know what you're working through and give you the habits of what you should be doing. Mm-hmm. Get the book. Like, you can come on here and it can give you some insight and we can talk about it. You can send us a message. But in general, if you really, truly want change, it's going to help you identify taking out the old beliefs, learning how to deal with family in chaos, and realize that we have super high EQ and we're handling our emotions well, and our children can talk to us when we're done with this video and we can help them understand
Can I give one more story?
You can give one more story. Heart. Yeah.
This is great.
I really do want people to see this and hear it because it's super important. You just can't always portray it while you're trying to give an overview of the book.
Are you crying?
Oh, no, not at
Okay.
all. I'm not
I
crying.
thought that was a
I
moment.
might cry because I feel like my children aren't listening, but
No, they're
it'll
trying.
be fine.
They're trying.
And
right
they
now.
shouldn't be trying. They should be doing.
Oh, this is so good. All right. So here's
They're
a thought.
legitimately sitting on the other side of the camera being like,
They're giving us
oh,
the
steak.
face.
Which they just put the dogs where they should have.
Yes. Okay.
30 minutes ago.
Okay. This is not about the dogs. So a part of this is real life, as you can tell. And I've shared back in the very first video, kind of like the mountain that I've been running around over the last 18 years. I have another example of something that happened to me yesterday, a situation that I was put in and I did okay.
Yeah.
I didn't do great. Are you ready for it?
We're ready.
Going to the Minnesota State High School wrestling thing, imagine concession stands everywhere, right? What are your options? You get cheese curds,
chips and cheese, pretzels,
yep.
candy.
You get big cookies, pop, right? Water is like $6 and pop's like $2. What's up with that? I mean, just take that perspective.
Did you bring your own shaker bottle?
I actually did, and I filled it up with water, and the water did not. It's fine. I drank it, and I brought my ketones, so it helped. But when it was time for lunch, we went to this great restaurant. We walked a little while. Long story short, because I'm not going to get into the details. In that moment, I'm like, all right, my choices there were a lot of like carb-loaded foods, and so it's not just sugar. I'm not trying. Did you catch that? I'm not just not eating sugar. I'm also training to get rid of seed oils. And if you're like, what is that? Think of things that are like deep fried. Okay. And now I challenge you to take on that training. So
you basically don't get to go out to eat.
When I'm there, I look at all the options, and it's like Caesar salad, French fries. Those were my only two sides, I think.
Okay.
This is where I just want you all to know that when you go there, you have to have a plan. I wasn't completely perfect with this plan.
Yeah.
So I went there and I got the best meal that I could get. But then it dawned on me, I didn't even ask the waitress for a different option. If I eat salad, what happens?
You regurgitate it like a cow.
It's weird. I can't eat salad.
Can't eat lettuce.
So I'm not telling you not to eat salad. For me, it does not resonate with my body. So I just got the French fries. That was my option. But guess what? To me, that's trying. That is an example of trying. I was not training in that moment. So it's like I did okay because I had a good entree and I ate some. I didn't even eat all of them, but I did eat them because I was hungry. Not a good reason. So I say all of this just to say sometimes you have to ask the question. I wasn't prepared. I'm hoping you can learn from I wasn't prepared, and I'm learning about the power of the ask. There's power in that if you write that down. Power in the ask. I did not ask the waitress if there were other options. I wanted fruit, but I didn't even ask because I didn't see it on the menu. So guess what? Don't mess up good for perfect. That's how I want to.
You should go get the book and do the actions because it will help you in whatever you're dealing with.
I'm also using these lives since my wife has asked me to come on here to be completely transparent with you all.
Yeah, I love it.
So there's going to be days where it's like you're going to hear a silly story like that. And I hope that it resonates with somebody who can learn from my mistakes.
And it was I honestly actually think that the trying versus training is a hard concept to understand. I've even had to just think back and put myself in that situation of what trying means and what training means. Because it's actually not it's not just a definition to give you and it makes sense. I don't feel like it does.
I have one more thought.
Okay.
And you can give me she gave me the look. Okay, because here's the other thing. I want to celebrate. I want to celebrate as well because while I may have ate the French fries, I didn't eat all of them.
Yeah.
So I can celebrate that. And I actually skipped out on the mini donuts and all of the other things that I was everybody like all around me the whole time.
Yeah.
And those were more of like things that actually caused me to stumble.
Right.
And I actually feel like I conquered those things.
That's good.
So overall, I do feel like the Hastings team, I won.
I love that.
See, I tied it all together.
I think you just have to look in your life and go, where have I been trying? That was the action step. What have you been trying over and over and over to achieve and failing? And what does it actually look like to train? So it's seeing yourself being the the person that's 60 pounds less, right? It's seeing yourself as that person, believing that you can be that person, and then saying, what would that person do to train day in and day out? So what would I do if I was already that person today? What are the habits that I need to do? What are the things I need to focus on? Where do I need to train? Training to me means getting up, moving your body, packing your lunch,
Right.
bringing your water bottle. It's creating those small little habits. So we'll get more into that. I'm excited to continue on in the book as he gives you action steps. Grab the book. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was long-winded, but you want to know what's great is people resonate with different people. He's an incredible storyteller. I'm very much like, give you the facts, go take the action, but that's not how people always learn. And we're better together.
Oh, you really think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's a win.
Thanks for tuning in.
That is a win.
All right. You can always reach out with questions. Go to ketomomsecrets.com, click on book club, click on recipes, click on how to get started, click on ketones, whatever you need. Thanks for tuning in. Have an incredible Friday, and we'll talk to you later.